Good afternoon and welcome to African News on Voice of the People TV. I am Fina Okechukwu. Malian nationals in Ivory Coast gathered in Abidjan on Sunday to protest Mali's proposed withdrawal from the Economic Community of West African States, Ecowas, in January. With around 3 million Malians living in Ivory Coast, many fear the impact on their livelihoods and ability to maintain residence permits, which can cost up to $832. Amada Okojo, a representative of the Malian community, highlighted the potential difficulties for those working in informal sectors and security if the withdrawal proceeds. The Mali junta in Mali, led by Colonel Assimi Goïta, is currently in conflict with Ecowas, which is demanding a return to constitutional rule and the organization of presidential elections. The junta's recent decision to end a fragile peace agreement with northern rebel groups has further heightened tension in the country. All right, and as we're talking protest still in Africa, we have our correspondents on the street of Lagos who are corresponding or getting us a report from the Nigerian nationwide protest, #End Bad Governance. And we have Matthew Ogunsuada for this one. Good afternoon, Matthew.
Good afternoon, Nigerians. It's still the day 5 of the End Bad Governance protest ongoing here at the Ganifa Park in Ojota, Lagos State. And a coalition of civil society organizations, socialist and radical groups, they are here to lend their voices to the government on the proposed reform that should happen in the country. And I'll be speaking with different stakeholders today on the subject matters. These civil society organizations, they have different cardinal demands. They want the government to look into the current economic hardship plaguing the country, as well as address other issues. Good afternoon, ma. Can you tell us some of your demands to the government?
We are demand to remove the subsidy. And we are demand for fuel to turn to 300. Food security for our farmers. We don't want kidnappers again. All those planning will not take work again. We want to make everything to come down. We want to make money for electricity. Lower down. The tariff is too much. We want free education. Because all of them, they are going free education. We want free education. We want to make the divide plot for all those our policemen and soldiers. Because they are abandoning by themselves. Both should they abandon by themselves. Both should they abandon by themselves. We want it. We don't want Agbero again. It's Agbero that control all this Lagos. The Tinubu sponsored them to destroy everything.
She is advocating for free education, that the government should look into the current situation in the country and address this, as well as provide food security, internal security, and then provide education for the masses. This is just all of the demand of the masses. Good afternoon, sir. Can you tell us some of your demands for the present administration?
It's plenty. You understand? My name is OPT1, aka number 1. I still remain myself in this country. We have suffered a lot. At least 2012, we day here, we protest with the same person that put us in this hunger. Now, it's in turn, he did not pay for our demands. What is the problem? Let our fuel subsidy be reversed. We need our electrical reform because everything is high. Transport is high. Fuel is high. People cannot use their car again. Many people are selling their car because of fuel fitting. Fuel is high. Mr. President, reform our electoral act. Reform our vote. Let us go back and revote.
He is saying that he wants the government to address the fuel subsidy and other things that is plaguing the country. So we have this placard, nationalize the oil and gas sector under democratic workers' control and management. Good afternoon, sir. Can you tell us the motive behind this?
I don't tell you last time. I don't talk like 2 times. Last time we come here on Sunday, I tell you everything is here. I tell you everything. say if they don't do it, by Monday, we are going to Alausa. But we change it in our hand. But see what in there. May they help us. People is hungry. I beg.
Some are saying that the government has addressed, the president has addressed the country yesterday. What other demands do you want him to put to practice apart from addressing Nigerians?
It's a plenty something. It's plenty. I don't have a mind to talk everything. But I beg government. People is hungry. They do something. They do something. You understand?
So he's saying that he wants the government to address the present thing that is happening in the country. Good afternoon, sir. Can you tell us some of the agitation to this present administration? The things you want the government to address. What do you want the government to address?
They should end that hardship now. So they should end that shit. And that's what we want.
So some are saying that the president has spoken to Nigeria. Do you think that's enough? Or
It's not enough. It's not enough. It should speak more. It should speak what we need. So it's not enough.
Thank you so much. He is saying that the way the president has spoken to Nigerians, that is not enough. But the president should put everything that he has done into action for the betterment of the citizens of the country. We will continue to monitor this development closely and provide further updates.
Matthew Ogunsoda for that wonderful coverage. What you have on your screen happens to be what is happening on the day 5 of the national protest, hashtag End Bad Governance in Nigeria. That is a live feed from Ojota here in Lagos. And some people are beginning to chime in. They're actually talking after the president addressed Nigerians just yesterday. And we also heard something about protests happening in Mali. And we want to ask, what is it with the waves of protest across Africa? Meanwhile, Mali's transitional government has announced the immediate severance of diplomatic relations with Ukraine. The decision posted on the government's website follows accusation that Ukraine supported two alleged rebels who attacked a convoy of Malian government troops and Wagner Group mercenaries in late July. The Malian authorities condemn Ukraine's action as a violation of Mali's sovereignty, an act of aggression. They further described the government in Kyiv as neo-Nazi and malicious, stating that any support for Ukraine is not considered support for international terrorism. Mali's government also planned to prevent potential instability from Ukrainian embassies in other African nations. In Gabon, the Railway Transport News portal shows that the government of Gabon and Société d'Exploitation du Trans-Gabonais, the SATRAG, have signed an agreement for the second phase of modernization of the Trans-Gabon Railway. This 648-kilometer railway connects the capital, Libreville, on the Atlantic coast with the city of Franceville in the southeast of the country. Meanwhile, work will be carried out on the section from Njole to Alamba and from Muvungwe to Franceville. The modernization will involve laying new rail weighing 60 kilogram per meter to replace the old of 50 kilogram per meter rails, as well as replacing wooden sleepers with 2-block concrete ones. The project is valued at 359 billion CFA, francs, equivalent to $580 million. 130 billion CFA francs will be provided by Gabonese government, and the remaining 220 billion CFA francs will be provided by SETRAD. The work is expected to be completed by the year 2028. Furthermore, the Gabonese government will finance the purchase of new passenger rolling stock. The first phase of modernization, which is nearing completion, involved the reconstruction of the section from the Owendo port, located south of Libreville, to Njole in the central part of the country. During this first phase, 300 kilometers of track was renewed and 225 kilometers of new rails were laid. The cost of the first phase was 230 billion CFA francs. SETRAG has the right to operate freight and passenger transport on the Trans-Gabon Railway for 30 years under a consensus agreement that runs until 2035. However, passenger trains operate on this route for 4 days a week, and the schedule includes 17 freight trans per week and all other trans. Recall that in 2022, 248,000 passengers and 10.9 million tons of cargo were transported on the railway. Zambia will import electricity from South Africa and Zimbabwe due to a severe drought that has reduced hydropower output in the country, resulting in up to 16 hours of daily load shedding. Energy Minister Makozo Chikote announced that state-owned ZESCO will acquire 218 megawatts of power from South Africa's Eskom and the Zimbabwe Power Company, with the additional supply expected to stabilize the grid by August. Chikote highlighted the significant power deficit, noting that as of June 30th, Zambia had recalled 260 megawatts of its 500 megawatt export capacity. The shortfall has left the country with less than half of its peak demand, leading to a deficit of around 1,360 megawatts. In Zimbabwe, the Zimbabwe Power Company, ZPC, is generating 1,325 megawatts, with the Hwanje Thermal Power Station recently hitting a milestone of 1 gigawatt. However, the Kariba Power Station and independent producers are contributing significantly less, exacerbating the region's energy challenges. You're watching African News and Voice of the People television. More stories after the break, and also we'll be taking more feeds and more feedback from the live coverage as regards the day 5 of the hashtag End Bad Governance in Nigeria. Do stay with us. Welcome back. It's still the African News and Voice of the People TV. Amid the suspension of Djibouti's primary oil export, Ethiopia has requested immediate provision of alternate tankers for incoming petroleum shipments. The Ethiopian Petroleum Supply Enterprises, EPSE, led by newly appointed CEO Esmalelem Mihiretu, met with Djibouti's Ports and Free Zones Authority, DPFZA, on July 29, seeking solutions to the disruption caused by the closure of Horizon Terminal for repairs. EPSE proposed utilizing the floating vessel M/T Red Sea 2, capable of storing 73,000 cubic meters, or leveraging the oil storage facilities at the Djibouti Demeroj Industrial Park. The discussion also included installing the Djibouti Port Community System, DPC, and the platform in Addis Ababa for efficient tracking of fuel shipments. The ongoing negotiation reflects Ethiopia's effort to secure a reliable support and supply chain amidst increasing petroleum demand. In Zimbabwe, 2 foreign tourists, Lucas Slavic from the Czech Republic and Tom Kamanwa from Uganda, have been arrested in Masvingo, Zimbabwe, under controversial circumstances. Slavic faces charges of spreading falsehood after recording a video alleging persistent water and electricity shortages in the country, while Kamanwa has been charged with possessing a sex toy considering pornographic material. During their court appearance, Slavic's lawyer, Knowledge Mamvure, argued that the law regarding falsehood had been repealed, adding a touch of irony by noting that the court itself experienced power outages. The two were remanded in custody, with the Czech Republic Embassy reportedly working to secure Slavic's release. Meanwhile, 95 Libyan nationals arrested for allegedly running an illegal military camp in Mpumalanga are set to make their second court appearance on Monday. Today, the group faces charges of contravening the Immigration Act after being found with military grenade and equipment and weapons, having reportedly misrepresented themselves on study visas. The initial court proceedings were delayed due to a language barrier necessitating the involvement of an Arabic-speaking interpreter. The accused will now inform the court if they require legal aid representation, depending on the charges' severity. The Libyan government has stated that these individuals are not affiliated with any official government activities and is cooperating with South African authorities in the investigation. He's still the African News and Voice of the People TV. More stories in business and sports after the break. Stay tuned. Welcome back to African News and Voice of the People TV. Moving on to business. South Africa's Telkom has reported a robust 24.1% increase in core profit for the first quarter, largely fueled by a significant growth in the subscribers and heightened use of its next-generation network, NGN services. The company, which is majority owned by the government, saw its core earning, EBITDA, rise to 2.8 billion rands, equivalent to $151 million for the 3 months ending June 30th. This impressive performance was driven by high demand for NGN services, including fiber and 5G, which now accounts for over 80,000 of the group's revenue. Group Chief Executive Serame Tauk Obong highlighted the strategic investment in mobile and fire network, positioning Telkom as a leading value provider in the mobile network space. Overall, group revenue increased by 3.9% to 10.9 billion rand, underscoring the growing market for Telkom's advanced broadband offerings in the nation. The company also reported a 14.6% rise in mobile subscribers, surpassing the 21 million mark, and a 19.5% growth in home connected with fiber compared to the previous year. Additionally, Telkom is in the process of selling its mast and tower business, SwiftNet, for 6.75 billion rands, pending approval from the Competition Commission with certain conditions. To support its expansion and manage maturity debt, Telkom successfully raised funds through a public bond auction, issuing 2 bond instruments with 3-year and 5-year tenors, raising a total of 750 million rand. The funds will be used to refinance maturing debt and address upcoming financial commitments in the 2025 fiscal year. Still in the business segment, Kenya's private sector activity experienced a significant decline in July, adversely affected by public protest against the government, which hurt business confidences and disrupted operations. According to the Stanbic Bank Kenya Purchasing Managers Index, PMI, the index fell to 43.1 from 47.2 in June, indicating a contraction in activity. The protest sparked by opposition to tax increases proposed by President William Ruto's government have led to a severe disruption in business activities and customer reluctance to commit to new orders. The protests, which began in mid-June, have resulted in more than 50 fatalities, according to the Kenyan National Commission on Human Rights, although President Ruto withdrew the controversial tax legislation. The demonstrations continued, with calls for his resignation and an end to alleged government corruption and inefficiencies. Economist Christopher Legelisho from Stanbic Bank noted that the ongoing unrest has discouraged business output and new orders, reflecting the instability broader economic impact. The intensity of the protests has slightly reduced, but the political instability continues to weigh heavily on the private sector's performance. Businesses have struggled with access disruptions and optional challenges, highlighting the urgent need for stability to restore confidence and economic activities in Kenya. And in sports, the Morocco national team incredible journey continues as they face off against Spain in the Olympic semi-final. Spain's Olympic soccer team is gearing up to face Morocco in the semi-finals, with their sights set on a second consecutive Olympic final appearance. Morocco, on the other hand, is looking to continue their impressive run and secure a medal. The Moroccan team has been a surprise package in the tournament, with their star player, Sofiane Rahimi, leading the charge as the top scorer. Spain, meanwhile, has been relying on Fermin Lopez to drive their attack forward. But the stage is set for an exciting matchup between these two teams, with Spain's experience and Morocco's determination making for a compelling contest. And without to call it a wrap on African news, do well to subscribe to our YouTube channel. We are at Voice of the People TV, and on all the social media platforms, we are at VOP TV Live. Join our subsequent news bulletin at 4 and 9 p.m. respectively. And meanwhile, we have our correspondents, Onyi Damola Olukuton and Matthew Ogunsuada, to bring us live coverage of the protests happening in Lagos, to be precise. One in Ojota and the other one in Ketu, where the Lagos state government have actually given protesters liberty to protest. I am Fina Okechukwu. Good afternoon.